We're also going to add a little bit of film grain effect, and the best way to do that is to add a little bit of noise. So let's go up and create a new layer to start with. Let's go Layer and New and Layer. Click OK, and now you can see we have a new layer at the top of our layer stack. Now let's go to Edit, down to Fill Layer, and ensure that our contents is checked to 50% grey, which you can select from this drop-down menu. 50% grey, click OK, and our image has gone 50% grey. Don't panic, we'll be changing the blending mode so that we can reveal our fine work underneath that in just a second. So now let's go up to Filter, let's go down to Noise and Add Noise. And we are going to change our amount to about 20%. Our distribution to Gaussian, and we're going to make sure that the monochromatic box is checked. Now just click OK, and then you can see that we have a nice grainy texture. If I zoom in there, you can just see all that noise. Now I know most of the time we seem to be trying to get rid of noise, but for a special effect on this, it's going to look a little bit better with it. We're just going to soften the edges of that a little bit by just adding a little bit of a blur. So let's go down again to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And let's just add in, say, 2 pixels there and click OK. Now to reveal our fine work underneath, we just need to change the blending mode of the layer. And again, go to the Layers palette here on the right hand side, making sure you're checked on this layer, and just select Overlay from the drop down menu. And then you can see that we have our image revealed. But if I zoom in, then you can also see that we have this nice texture, which just helps give a little bit of effect. Let's just move that out of the way so that you can see that. And then we click on and off, and you can just see the effects of that grain, just giving a little bit more authenticity to our cyanotype effect. For final effect, we're just going to add a rough-edged border. When you're making a genuine cyanotype print, you'll have to coat your papers with the emulsion, and you typically do that with a glass rod or a brush, and consequently you have rough borders. So we're just going to replicate that effect in the digital darkroom, and we're going to do that using the borders image, which you'll also find on the cover-mounted disc. So let's go up to File, down to Place, and then selecting borders01.jpg from the cover mounted disk, we hit place there, and then you can see we have this icon here. We can just drag it into position, pull the corners until we're happy that we're covering the image. Let's go right up to the edges there and over there. When you're happy with the positioning, you can either double click inside this area, hit enter, or the red commit current operation. There we go, and you can see that we have our border layer on top of the layer stack. Now we need to do 2 things. First of all, we need to invert it so that our tones are reversed, and we're going to do that using a nifty keyboard shortcut, which is simply pressing Control and the letter I, and you can see that we reversed our tones, making the majority of the area black. Now what we need to do, just to reveal the parts of the image underneath, which obviously this picture is all about, by changing our blending mode. So back over to the Layers palette, to the drop down menu for the blending modes, and let's go down and select Screen, and there you can see we have our finished picture with a rough edged border. And here you can see pretty much all the stages of our process in the Layers palette on the right hand side, and many of these steps you can see are re-editable. So for example, if we just wanted to quickly make our image a little bit darker, we can still come back here and tweak some of these controls here. Let's cancel that for the moment because I think that's looking pretty good.